Thank you all for being here today. You're covering a very important announcement. Standing here with me are my statewide prosecutor, Nick Cox, assistant statewide prosecutor, Rita Peters, who covered sex crimes at the state attorney's office for approximately 2 decades, which is important in this case, and also assistant special agent in charge of regional operations, Mark Britnell, and Sharon Fiola. Thank you both for your tireless work in this case. So for weeks now, my Office of Statewide Prosecution has been gathering information related to past allegations regarding the Catholic Church. We're here today to ask the public to please assist us with this ongoing statewide investigation, which encompasses all 7 Catholic dioceses in Florida. Today we launched a tip site to allow victims and anyone with information about priest abuse to report what they know. We cannot do this without you. We need your help. My site, myfloridalegal.com/priestabuse, is a place where anyone with allegations of past abuse committed by a priest can confidentially report that information. And confidentially is important because if you're a victim, we have to know who you are, but you will be protected. That information will remain confidential if you are a victim of abuse. And it will be kept in accordance with the Florida statutes. Please make it clear that this site is for reporting allegations of past abuse by Catholic priests in Florida. And this is important because anyone who has current abuse going on right now, call 911. If someone is being abused, you have to call 911 or the Department of Children and Families Abuse Hotline at 1-800-96-ABUSE. Again, that's 1-800-96-ABUSE. So if someone is currently being molested or raped, ongoing, active, that needs to go 911 first and DCF. But any allegations of past abuse, that's what we want to know about. The reporting site is now linked again to the front of my webpage. And we will have 5 attorneys, including the 2 sitting next to you and law enforcement, monitoring that. And if you call in, please know we want to help you, we want to counsel you, and we want to get to the bottom of anything that could have happened in our state. Please share your story with us. Even if you've previously reported it to the church, to anyone, report it to us now. Because we're doing this on a statewide level, and that's why it's very important. We have a fluid population with tourists, retirees, and people from all over the country visiting our great state. Even if you live in another state now, even if years have passed, we want to hear from you. Once again, the site is myfloridalegal.com priest/abuse. And if you go on my website, priest stop abuse. But if you go on my website, you're going to see it, right? It's going to be prominently displayed on the first page of my website. You can't miss it. So as for our ongoing investigation, when the case about Pennsylvania aired, I couldn't sleep that night. And obviously we're a much bigger state than Pennsylvania. And the next morning, I probably woke you up. I talked to my statewide prosecutor and said, we have to look into this. And he wholeheartedly agreed. And you know, after we saw the Pennsylvania grand jury report detailing the decades of abuse. And interestingly enough, after Mr. Cox and Ms. Peters started looking into it, we have since, just based on Pennsylvania, so victims out there, you need to know you're going to be protected. Since I asked them this, between 12 and 20, somewhere in there, victims, well over 15, it's safe to say, have come forward in Florida just by hearing what happened in Pennsylvania. So no, you are not alone. And again, we've started this statewide coordinated effort. I cannot thank the Florida Department of Law Enforcement enough for your continued support for the last 8 years in everything but this, for caring so much about this issue. Because what we learned in Pennsylvania, 301 Catholic priests abused children, detailed accounts of more than 1,000 child victims. And they claimed church officials, senior church officials, bishops and monsignors, helped cover up priest abuse. The citizens of Pennsylvania played a major role in reporting this by providing investigators vital stories about past abuse and potential cover-ups. We have reason to believe there are similar stories in Florida. I know it's painful for you as a survivor to discuss past abuses, but your story will help bring justice to prevent future abuse. I want to reiterate, this is not for ongoing emergencies. That's 911 and then DCF. In closing, let me say that any priest that would exploit a position of power and trust to abuse a child is a disgrace to the church and a threat to society. And with that, if you have any questions, we'll attempt to answer as much as we can now, remembering that it is a statewide criminal investigation.
Can you talk about the scope of this, or what the expected scope may be?
You know, based on Pennsylvania, again, we're a much larger state, and that's why when I heard that, I knew it had to be ongoing in Florida. The scope of the investigation, though, is not simply limited to the church. It's limited to any churches, any youth organizations, any school, any institutional abuse we want to know about. This isn't just targeting the Catholic Church. Also, I want to point out that my statewide prosecutors and Julie Hogan, who's not here with us today, she's handling a motion in South Florida on something unrelated. They have met with all 7 bishops here in Florida, and the bishops have been cooperative, and I want to thank them all for their cooperation. They will be cooperating with us. We will be issuing subpoenas.
You said you have reason to believe that this is happening in Florida. Can you describe generally what that means? Do you mean that you have accusers who have come forward? Do you have forensic evidence? Do you have controlled calls? What can you explain to us?
Kate, as much as I can say now is that over 15 victims have come forward. And the interesting thing, we started the investigation prior. We started looking into it prior to them coming forward. And at least 15 have come forward. We also have additional information that we cannot discuss that's been presented to us. As far as how widespread this is, frankly, we have no idea right now. We can look at the numbers in Pennsylvania, we can look at the population of Florida, and we can look at all the great Catholics in our state. And by the way, the 4 standing on either side of me are all Catholic. We love the Catholic religion, the Catholic Church. We love youth organizations, we love schools, but abuse is abuse.
With so many websites, we hear it all the time, getting hacked. What's been taken in terms of measures that if a victim puts their information on that site, that some of that won't get out?
You asked the exact same question that I asked of law enforcement yesterday. So what we can tell you is we've taken safeguards to protect the information, and I would hope no one would want to do that. But yes, we will assure that do everything we possibly can to be sure that victims are protected. In the world, we live in a different world now, obviously, but we will do everything we can.
Can you tell us anything more about the 15 victims?
No.
Where they're from?
Nothing, and you wouldn't want us to now, because we want to protect them, we want to look into it further. You know, and some of the issues could possibly be whether priests were moved to Florida from other states. And, you know, the bishops here might not always know. I'm just giving hypotheticals, I really am, you know. But other states may move them here, put them in a diocese here in Florida, and the bishop here may not know that they had been basically banned from the state from which they came for allegations. And we don't know all that now, but those are things we'll be looking at as well.
And having said that, I mean, Florida's a blue state, as you mentioned. How difficult does that make your job in trying to track some of these old cases down?
Well, all of you today make my job a lot easier, because getting the word out there is what it's going to take. And Florida, we're a transient state. So many people have left Florida. So this is a national issue. And nationally, if you're a victim, we don't care how old your case is, come forward, report it to us. We want to know. A bit of history of the church. In 1958, they had been one diocese based out of St. Augustine. Then they added Miami, and now they have 7 dioceses, with the Archbishop being in Miami. Prior to that, well, prior to 2002, when the Boston story broke, of course, many settlements, there were settlements, we've all heard these stories, that were kept confidential. The church would sign things, and I'm not saying in Florida, I'm saying all over the country, but the church would sign confidentiality agreements with victims of sex abuse, not to say anything, not to come forward, and that's abhorrent, that's disgusting. But since 2002, they have the Charter for Protection of Children, and in it they have 14 steps. No more confidential settlements, transparency, review boards, and reporting to law enforcement. And it's our job to make sure that that was done as well. I think Nick said he's read all the canons and learned more than he did at his days at Jesuit high school here about the church. But again, we respect the Catholic religion. We respect the Catholic Church. This is about abuse of priest in a position of power over young people. And we're not limiting this to the Catholic Church. If you have been abused by any youth organization in the past, any group, any school, we want you to come forward. And that's when we'll be able to find out how widespread this is. Our first priority, though, is that kids are safe now. So immediately, we will be looking at 2002 forward. Sworn statements will be taken, subpoenas will be issued. Many are being cooperative already. And again, the bishops have assured us of their cooperation. But our job is to trust. I can't, but I can say that they have all assured us that they will cooperate fully. But what I will say to you is trust but verify. And that's our job, when children especially are involved.
Do you have a timeline on when the subpoenas could be issued?
Immediately. We're moving very fast because, again, if this is going on in our state, we want to know, and we want to know now.
Are those in relation to the victims who already come forward, those subpoenas?
Well, they're not going to need subpoenas, frankly, but the investigation is starting with them, and I'm hoping after today, well, actually, I'm not hoping that we have more victims, but sadly, in the world in which we live, we probably will, and thanks to all of you getting that out there. And again, we want to hear your story. We want to help you if you have been abused. And you can stop this from happening to other children.
Can you elaborate more on those subpoenas? Who will they go to? What
No,
information are we
no,
seeking?
we can't. We can't.
Individual churches or?
We can't unless you want to. Yeah,
Diocese.
the diocese, the 7 dioceses, of course, because that's where all the information is kept.
There'll be additional ones beyond the diocese too, but the initial ones will be to the
Yeah,
diocese.
the initial ones will be to them, but that they've assured us of full cooperation.
Are these 15 victims in all 7 dioceses, or?
I can't comment on that. And again, it's at least 15 victims have come forward. And that's, to put this in perspective, that's just from them hearing it on the news from Pennsylvania. So now we're investigating and we're looking into it.
Have you had any contact with people who are alleged abusers?
We can't discuss anything regarding the investigation directly. But thank you all. Thank you for caring, and thank you, Floridians, for reporting this, we pray. Thank you. Have a good day.